Imagine waking up one day, opening your mouth to sing the only thing you have ever known, and realizing the instrument you relied on has completely vanished. For Bonnie Tyler, this wasn't a hypothetical nightmare. It was a devastating reality that threatened to erase her existence from the world of music before she had even truly arrived. Most people know the name, they know the hair, they know that unmistakable, gravelly roar that seems to tear through the speakers. But what the world rarely talks about is the bizarre sequence of events, the medical anomaly, and the strange, haunted mansion that turned a failing folk singer into a global powerhouse of suspense and emotion. This is the story of a voice that was fundamentally broken, a producer who dealt in theatrical darkness, and a music video that defied all logic, creating a mystery that still captivates anyone who dares to look a little closer at the screen. To understand the eclipse, you first have to understand the darkness that preceded it. Born into a large working-class family in Wales, Bonnie Tyler didn't have a silver spoon. She had an unyielding determination and a voice that originally was as clean and clear as a bell. She sang in pubs and clubs, faithfully mimicking the folk and country singers she admired. She was good, undeniably good, but in the vast ocean of the 1970s music industry, being good was rarely enough. You had to be different, you had to possess a signature that no one else could replicate, and then the universe made a drastic intervention. During a routine surgery to remove benign nodules from her vocal cords, something went terribly wrong. The surgery was deemed a success by the doctors, but when Bonnie woke up and tried to speak, she heard a stranger's voice coming from her own throat. The clean bell tone was gone. In its place was a deep, raspy, tearing sound. She was terrified. She thought her career was over before it had even begun. She sat in silence for weeks, mourning the loss of the only voice she had ever known. But what felt like a curse was actually the exact catalyst she needed. The rasp gave her voice an edge, a sense of lived-in heartache and raw vulnerability that her previous clean tone lacked. It sounded like a woman who had survived a storm. It caught the attention of the right people, leading to her first real taste of fame. Yet even with a new sound and a few hits, Bonnie Tyler was still hovering on the edge of mainstream obscurity. She needed a masterpiece. She needed someone who understood that true art often walks hand in hand with the theatrical and the strange. She needed Jim Steinman. If you don't know the name Jim Steinman, you certainly know his work. He was the architect of grand, gothic, over-the-top rock operas. He didn't write simple pop songs. He wrote sweeping, cinematic epics about love, danger, shadows, and the end of the world. When Steinman was tasked with writing a song for Bonnie Tyler, he didn't hold back. He handed her a track originally intended for a musical adaptation of Nosferatu. Yes, a vampire story. The song was Total Eclipse of the Heart. It was a massive, towering wall of sound, built on pounding pianos, dramatic synth cascades, and a choir that sounded like it was echoing from the depths of a cathedral. The lyrics were cryptic, painting a picture of a woman turning away from the light, surrendering to an inevitable darkness. Bonnie listened to it and knew instantly that this was the moment her life would change. She poured every ounce of that raspy, surgically altered heartbreak into the microphone. The result was a sonic earthquake. It didn't just climb the charts, it obliterated them, sitting at #1 across the globe for weeks. But a song of this magnitude couldn't just be promoted with a simple studio performance. In the 1980s, the music video was king, and Steinman demanded a visual narrative that matched the sheer, overwhelming scale of the music. What they created in that video is the source of endless curiosity, debate, and a lingering sense of surreal suspense that has kept people talking for 40 years. If you have ever seen the music video for Total Eclipse of the Heart, you know exactly what I am talking about. It opens not with the singer but with a sweeping shot of a massive Gothic boarding school at night. It looks less like a place of learning and more like a haunted castle plucked straight out of a Victorian ghost story. Bonnie Tyler plays a teacher wandering the halls, but as the song builds, reality begins to fracture. Suddenly the doors fly open, and a flood of glowing-eyed schoolboys wearing glowing white gloves rush into the hallways, running frantically as if escaping some unseen threat. There are ninjas. There are trained doves flying through narrow corridors. There's a mysterious man in a suit who appears to be the headmaster watching from the shadows. And then there is Bonnie standing on a balcony, singing into the night before the video transitions to her standing in front of a massive, glowing full moon. For decades, viewers have stared at their screens and asked the exact same question. What on earth is actually happening in this video? Is it a dream? Is it a metaphor for the loss of innocence? Is the headmaster a vampire? Are the ninjas protecting the boys or hunting them? The director Russell Mulcahy and Steinman deliberately chose to provide absolutely no context. There is no dialogue. There is no opening text to explain the setting. You are dropped into the middle of a fever dream and forced to piece together the narrative yourself. This was a masterclass in creating suspense. By stripping away the expected structure of a music video, they forced the audience to engage on a psychological level. The glowing eyes of the boys create an uncanny valley effect, making them look innocent yet vaguely sinister. The ninjas add an element of sudden, unexplained physical danger. The Gothic architecture closes in around the viewer, mirroring the claustrophobic feeling of being trapped in a dying relationship, which is what the song is actually about. The genius of the video lies in its absolute commitment to the bit. Nobody turns to the camera and winks to let you know it's just a fun 1980s concept. Everyone plays it with deadly seriousness. Bonnie Tyler acts as if her life depends on hitting those high notes in the courtyard. The boys run as if their lives are genuinely in danger from the shadows. This complete lack of irony is exactly why the video transcends its era. It doesn't feel like a 1980s music video, it feels like a lost scene from a supernatural thriller. The suspense isn't about someone jumping out from behind a door. The suspense is the agonizing, lingering mystery of what the narrative actually means. It leaves a knot in your stomach, a feeling that you are missing a crucial piece of a puzzle that the creator has hidden away forever. Yet, despite the sheer, undeniable power of the song and the legendary status of the video, a strange phenomenon surrounded Bonnie Tyler's career in the years that followed, particularly in certain parts of the world. In America, she was often branded a one-hit wonder, a cruel and inaccurate label that baffles music historians to this day. How does a woman with such a distinct, unimitable voice, who worked with the biggest producers in the world, suddenly vanish from the mainstream consciousness? This is the third layer of the Bonnie Tyler mystery. It wasn't a dramatic downfall. There was no scandal, no controversial behavior that forced the industry to blacklist her. It was a slow, quiet fading, like the sun slipping behind the moon during an eclipse. The truth is a complex web of changing musical landscapes and industry politics. As the late 1980s bled into the 1990s, the grand, bombastic rock ballads that Steinman championed fell out of favor. The tide turned toward grunge, hip-hop, and polished, manufactured pop. A voice as raw and inherently theatrical as Bonnie's didn't fit neatly into the new, fragmented radio formats. Record labels didn't know how to market a gothic rock queen in an era of flannel shirts and minimalist electronic beats, so they stopped trying. She continued to tour, selling out massive arenas across Europe and South America, where the reverence for the power ballad never died. But in the Anglophone mainstream, she became a ghost, lingering only in the background of 1980s nostalgia compilations. But true art refuses to stay buried. This brings us to the most fascinating aspect of Bonnie Tyler's legacy, the cyclical nature of her resurgence. You cannot keep a total eclipse hidden forever. Over the last decade, there has been a massive, almost obsessive cultural reappraisal of the 1980s, and with it, a rediscovery of Jim Steinman's catalog and Bonnie Tyler's definitive performance. When the creators of the massive television hit Stranger Things needed a song to underscore a moment of supernatural terror and teenage heartbreak in their fourth season, they didn't choose a modern track. They chose Running Up That Hill. And while that song belonged to Kate Bush, it opened the floodgates for an entire generation of young people to seek out the dramatic, synth-heavy emotional anthems of the past. Suddenly, Bonnie Tyler was no longer just a memory for aging adults. She was a viral sensation. TikTok feeds were flooded with the opening chords of Total Eclipse of the Heart, paired with dramatic, cinematic edits that honored the very suspense the original video created. Listeners who were not even alive when the song was recorded began to analyze the lyrics, diving deep into the vampire lore, dissecting the music video frame by frame, and realizing that what they had dismissed as cheesy 1980s excess was actually a masterwork of gothic pop art. They discovered the truth that Bonnie Tyler had known all along. The surgery that broke her voice was the exact thing that gave it soul. The darkness that Steinman infused into the track wasn't a gimmick. It was a profound understanding of human heartbreak, and the bizarre, unexplained narrative of the music video wasn't lazy writing. It was a brilliant invitation for the audience to become part of the art. Today, when you hear that iconic opening piano riff, it carries a weight that goes far beyond a simple pop song. It is the sound of a woman who lost her greatest asset and found something infinitely better in the wreckage. It is the sound of a producer who refused to compromise his terrifying, beautiful vision. It is the sound of 100 glowing-eyed schoolboys running through the corridors of your own imagination, leaving you with a sense of wonder, a touch of fear, and an insatiable curiosity. Bonnie Tyler didn't just record a song. She captured a lightning storm in a bottle, sealed it with a raspy whisper, and left it on a doorstep for the world to find. The eclipse may pass, the shadows may shift, but the secret behind the voice that refused to be broken remains completely, beautifully unmatched.